Hello everyone, welcome back to Crime Never Forgiven, the channel where we dive deep into true stories that shook the world. Stories about betrayal, negligence, greed, and sometimes just plain stupidity. Today we're going behind the scenes of a scandal that hit millions of Indians and travelers around the globe right in their pockets and passports. We're talking about the Air India data breach of 2021, a digital heist, not by hackers in hoodies, but by a silent leak through a third-party vendor. So buckle up, because today's story isn't about who did it, it's about how it happened, why no one saw it coming, and what it means for your personal data. Let me take you back to early 2021. The world was still reeling from the pandemic. Flights were grounded, airlines were bleeding money, and Air India, India's national carrier, was already under pressure. Now here's something most people don't know when you book a flight online. Especially internationally, your data doesn't always stay with the airline itself. It goes through a company called SITA, short for Société Internationale de Télécommunications Aéronautique, or the International Air Transport Association's tech wing. SITA handles everything from check-ins to baggage systems, and crucially passenger data. In fact, SITA serves over 400 airlines globally, including British Airways, Delta, and yes, Air India. And here's where things go wrong. On January 25, 2021, SITA dropped a bombshell: they had been hacked. The breach started as early as October 2020, but no one knew until months later. And during that time, hackers had quietly accessed a system used for managing passenger information, the Passenger Service System, PSS. This system stored massive amounts of sensitive data: names, dates of birth, passport numbers, contact info, and even credit card details. Now here's the kicker: this wasn't some high-tech, zero-day exploit. It was a classic case of poor security practices and outdated systems. According to reports, the attackers exploited a vulnerability in SITA's customer payment portal, which was exposed online without proper encryption or firewall protection. Once inside, they had access to data from millions of passengers, including 4.5 million Air India customers alone. So who did it? Well, the hack was attributed to a cybercriminal group known as Revel, also called Sodinokibi, infamous for ransomware attacks across the globe. These guys are pros. They've targeted law firms, hospitals, and even meat suppliers. Their modus operandi? Get in, steal data, encrypt systems, and demand ransom. But in this case, there was no ransomware deployed, just a quiet data exfiltration. They stole the data and then tried to sell it on the dark web, listing it for sale on hacker forums for $2.5 million. Yes, your passport number, your credit card, your birthday, all available for the price of a luxury car. When Air India finally got wind of the breach, thanks to SITA notifying them, they had a PR nightmare on their hands. First, they had to inform 4.5 million customers that their data had been compromised. That's more than the population of Ireland. Then came the legal consequences. In India, there's no comprehensive data privacy law yet, but the government still summoned Air India officials to explain what went wrong. Internationally, the breach triggered investigations from data protection authorities in Europe, where GDPR laws apply and fines can run into millions of dollars. And let's not forget the public outrage. People were furious. How could their private data be handed over to a third party without their knowledge? Even worse, many victims found their credit cards being misused weeks after the breach. One traveler reported his card was used to buy $2,000 worth of electronics in Dubai, long before he even knew his data was stolen. Let's get technical for a second. Air India didn't store the data themselves. They outsourced it to SITA, which is common practice. But here's the problem: poor third-party vendor management. Many companies outsource IT services to cut costs. But when you hand over sensitive data to a third party, you have to make sure they're protecting it just as well as you would. In this case, SITA failed to update their systems, left a critical portal unsecured, and didn't detect the breach for months. No real-time monitoring. There was no real-time monitoring or intrusion detection system in place. So even though the hackers were active for months, nobody noticed. Weak cybersecurity culture. This breach exposed a bigger issue: a lack of cybersecurity culture in Indian corporations. Even today, many companies treat cybersecurity as an afterthought. After the dust settled, both Air India and SITA took action. Air India. issued a public apology, set up a dedicated help desk for affected passengers, advised customers to monitor their bank accounts and report any suspicious activity, upgraded internal protocols for handling third-party vendors. SITA, shut down the compromised system, hired external cybersecurity experts to audit their infrastructure, rolled out enhanced encryption and multi-factor authentication, paid millions in settlements to affected airlines. But here's the thing, none of these fixes can undo the damage. Once your data is on the dark web, it's out there forever. This breach should serve as a wake-up call. Every time you book a flight, order food, or sign up for a loyalty program, your data is being shared with dozens of third parties. You have no idea where it ends up. And with cybercrime rising every year, breaches like this will only become more common. So what can you do? Use unique passwords for every service. Enable two-factor authentication wherever possible. Monitor your bank statements regularly. Be cautious about sharing personal data online. And if you work at a company, make sure you're not outsourcing your security along with your data. Because in the end, cybersecurity isn't someone else's problem, it's everyone's responsibility. All right, folks, that's the story of the Air India data breach of 2021, a tale of poor oversight, outdated systems, and the dangerous game of trust we play every day with our data. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new today, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to Crime Never Forgiven. Hit the bell icon too so you never miss another story that keeps you up at night. Until next time, remember, crime may pay, but it never gets forgiven. Stay safe, stay aware, and keep watching.